Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. We've opened up the season with some surprises. We've opened up the season with some things that we've seen that we were expecting. But we've definitely opened up the season with some eye-popping things. So, there are things that you don't expect. There's things that you're a little bit surprised about, and then there's things that you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened. So I personally, and I'm not getting sucked into it, I want to make sure that we're clear on that. I'm not getting sucked into it yet, because what I want to see is I want to have this same conversation in a month, in 2 months. Like when we get into the dog days of the NBA season, I'd like to have this conversation. But as of right now, I am very surprised by the Utah Jazz. Very much so. I'm watching this unit, and they get a lot of action off the basketball. Their transition defense is really good. They got a bunch of guys, not a bunch of no-name guys, because a lot of the guys on their crew are guys that people know, not necessarily household names, but they're guys that people know that were basically cast off. Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, Clarkson, Mike Conley is old, Colin Sexton, Rudy Gay. So a lot of these guys are cast off. So when you watch them, you're not really expecting much. But what I will tell you that I liked more than anything with the Utah Jazz, I love what I'm seeing with this team offensively. I love how the ball is moving. And the playmakers that they have, Kelly Olynyk, which is, I know that sounds crazy to say that Kelly Olynyk is a playmaker, but he's put in position where he can make plays. So when he gets the ball at the elbow and he drags the defense up, because he'll knock down that 16, 17 footer. That's his game. He could shoot the long ball, but he'll knock down that 16, 17 footer, which leaves the basket wide open. And you got guys like Markkanen around the basket who can score, getting easy dump offs. Their transition defense is really good. The reason why their transition defense is good is because of their floor leader in Mike Conley. Mike Conley is out there directing traffic. I am pleasantly surprised at what I've been seeing from this Utah Jazz team. Now, I'm not getting sucked in and going, yo, the Jazz are going to make the playoffs. Watch out for this team. No, I'm not getting sucked in yet. Hang on. What I will say is I'd like to have this conversation again in another month, maybe 2 months, or when we get into the dog days of the season. I'd like to see what these guys look like then. On the other hand, New Orleans is in desperate need of a point guard. They're in desperate need of a floor leader. CJ McCollum is one of the better two guards in the game, but they need a floor leader. Mike Conley would be great in that system. A vet like that who would be perfect for what they're doing. And the reason why is because if you look, they look disorganized on offense. They don't really look like they have a lot of action off the basketball. There's a lot of they don't look like they have a lot of misdirection. What I mean when I say misdirection is a floor leader who can generate plays like that, where they can get the defense off balance. They don't have any of that. They either giving the ball to Brandon Ingram, he'll go. They give the ball to Zion in transition, and he'll go. And there's not a lot of continuity. And that comes from a floor leader. If they can get themselves a legit point guard, like Mike Conley, somebody like that, I think that they're going to be serious in the Western Conference. Zion looks like he's showing that, and I know we just started the season, but he looks like I can hold up. He's always had that bounce. He's always had that athleticism. It's just a matter of showing that he can hold up. Can you stay healthy? That's the most important thing, more than anything. Because I see a lot of stuff out there in terms of the game where he's just doing things off athleticism. I watched Kelly Olynyk drop off of him more than once, more than twice in the mid-range. And he's just basically attacking him because that's what he wants to do. That hasn't slowed down for him yet in terms of him seeing the game wide open, where I'm wide open 16 feet away from the basket, and I can knock that down. That hasn't materialized for him yet. What also hasn't materialized for him yet is his ability to defend. He watches the ball a lot. And when you're playing against a vet like Kelly Olynyk, for example, And you're playing against a vet like Markin, and you're playing against an offense like the Utah Jazz, where there's not a lot of standing around. They're going to expose you. And I think Zion got exposed a lot last night defensively because he does a lot of ball watching. He doesn't communicate on screens and on action when his man doesn't have the ball. He doesn't do that. And that's something that needs to improve with him. I think it will. I definitely think it will, but I think that this is a season for him more than anything to just show that he can hold up. Since we're on the subject of improving, the Lakers have shown improvement defensively. I think that they're one of the better defensive teams in the game. I do believe that. I think the problem that we're having is the way that this roster is constructed. The problem is that the way that this roster is constructed and the way that they play are night and day. The way that this roster is constructed is to play to their strength, which is defense. Think 2004 Detroit Pistons, for example. And I know the game wasn't that wide open, and I know the game wasn't a bunch of guys shooting the long ball, but the Detroit Pistons didn't have a guy on that unit that was 25 a night. They didn't. Their game was predicated on us stopping you, not only us stopping you and speeding the game up and getting a lot of stuff in transition. We get a lot of action in the half court, and the stuff that we get in half court is through ball movement. Rip is moving off the basketball a lot, right? Chauncey Billups, who is their floor leader, is directing traffic. When I look at this Laker team, I think that they could be good defensively. I think that they could be awesome defensively. But I think that they need to play to their strengths, which they're not doing. They took 33 threes last night. 6 for 33 on the long ball. Your team is not equipped to play that way. You're not going to win games playing that way. And the reason why you're not going to win games playing that way is not only because you can't shoot the long ball, but because there is no in-between. It's either shoot the long ball or you're at the basket. When you get that in-between game, what that does is that expands the defense. And when it expands the defense, what it also does is it leaves more opportunity to get to the basket in one-on-one situations without a rim protector being there. I thought Anthony Davis, contrary to popular belief, he looked really good yesterday afternoon. He did. He does look a little gingerly to me. He does look like he does look like he's playing not to get hurt, but his ability to rim protect, that's still there. His ability to paint protect, that's still there. All of that stuff is still there, and he still does it at a high level. I think that if these guys can play more to their strength, I think that they will be so much better. I mean, James went 2 for 9 on the long ball. We're not going to win with James shooting like that. You're not going to win with Lonnie Walker. I mean, James and Lonnie Walker combined, I think they go 3 for 14 on the long ball. We are not equipped to play that way. We're not. I think Damian Lillard plays himself back into the top 10 this year. A lot of people had written him off because of the injury and because the Trailblazers didn't make the playoffs. I think a lot of people had written him off. He was so efficient last night. And the reason why he was efficient is because Dame plays his game within himself. Dame doesn't do anything that he doesn't know how to do. Even if you try to make things uncomfortable for Dame, you're not gonna make him play faster than he wants to play. You're not gonna make him shoot shots that he's not interested in shooting. He's gonna get whatever he wants when he wants it, and in a timely manner. That's who Damian Lillard is. I think he plays himself back into the top 10 this year. He looked really good last night. Yesterday afternoon. He looked really good. I liked his ability to get to the basket, his ability to play in the mid-range, him just directing traffic, getting those guys in position to score and to defend. I dig Anthony Simons. I like what he brings. And I'm more impressed with the Trailblazers defensively. I'm actually surprised, even though I shouldn't be considering Chauncey Billups as their coach, I'm surprised at how good they were defensively. Now, I know that it's the Lakers and you don't have to worry about them shooting the long ball, but I thought that they did a good job at guarding last night. They kicked the Lakers. They did a good job at keeping the Lakers off the basket, off the backboard. They out-rebounded them by 9 on the defensive glass. What that tells me, number one, is that you're limiting them to one shot. Number two, Anthony Davis was the only one offensive rebounding. He had 5 offensive rebounds last night. Nobody else is offensive rebounding except him. And I think that the Trailblazers did a good job of keeping those guys off the offensive backboard. I think that they did a really good job of keeping those guys off the offensive glass. And I think that that helped them a lot. I think that Dame plays himself back into the top 10. I think that the Trailblazers are a bottom-end play-in team, 8, 9, and I think that they're going to be right there at the end. Right there at the end. Speaking of a team that I'm pleasantly surprised with and happy with is I like the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. What I dug about them is I dug how Jared Allen, how he I'm a big guy. I'm big on man in the paint. I'm a big guy on big guys doing their job. Do your job. If your job is to rebound, if your job is to rim protect, if your job is to paint protect, do your job. And Jared Allen is big at doing his job, being around the basket, rim protecting. 14 rebounds last night. He looked great. I think that you could get Evan Mobley more involved in the offense. The thing that bothered me a little bit about last night with them is Donovan Mitchell, as much as they need him offensively, he is a volume shooter. I mean, he took 29 shots last night. He is a volume shooter. When you got a guy who's a volume shooter like that, what you do is the offense gets stagnant. Not only does the offense get stagnant, you get guys like Evan Mobley who only shot 7 shots. He gets a little lethargic where he won't get involved in the offense or he won't get involved defensively as much. Now, I don't think that has a lot to do with his game because Evan Mobley is one of those guys, even though he's a young guy, he's one of those guys where he doesn't let his offense dictate his defense because I do think that he's one of the better defensive players in the game. But when you have a guy who's a high volume shooter like that and you got a guy in Evan Mobley who is a really good offensive player and looks like he's going to be an even better offensive player in years to come, you got to get him more involved in the offense. You have to. You got to put him in spaces where he can be more involved in offense. You have to do that. And I think that the Cavs are going to do that. I like which way this team is headed. Darius Garland did not play last night. I think he was hurt. But I like which way this Cavs team is headed. I tell you what, man, I really like what Washington is doing offensively. I'm not sold on Washington as a playoff team. I'm really not. But they get a lot of action off the basketball, and it looks good. It looks really good. Okoro had a difficult time dealing with Bradley Beal. That means everybody has a difficult time dealing with him. But Okoro had a difficult time dealing with Bradley Beal. And a lot of that had to do with Bradley Beal's ability to move off the basketball, cut into the basket, putting himself in a position where in pockets like the mid-range, not just the mid-range, but closer to the basket in the paint where he can score and he's the most efficient. I thought he looked really good and I thought that offense had a lot to do with that. Same thing with Kuzma, who I think Kuzma is more of a not a rotation player, but I think he's your 4th best player on a championship team. But I thought that offense looked pretty good last night. I like what I'm seeing from the Washington Wizards. I like to see them pick up their defense a little bit more, but this is what I'm looking at with this unit, man. They look real good. This Cavs team, they look really good. That Laker team, they got work to do. That Trailblazer team, they looked real good. I like what I saw from them. And the same thing with the Jazz. I did like what I saw. I'm not getting sucked in, but I did like what I saw. So basketball season is amongst us, guys. This is what it is, and I'm excited about it. So we back in effect. You'll see me soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.